Chapter 1053. This is absolute defense. In the eyes of the soul-destroying, the red light completely covered his last bit of rationality. He only had less than 24 hours left to live. Since the last hope had been taken away by Zhang Yi, let's fight. The soul-destroying roared and rushed towards Zhang Yi. The earth was directly shattered by his power. Zhang Yi's void blade drew strokes and strokes, and the dimensional doors slowly closed around the soul-destroying's body. Void coffin. A rectangular coffin directly wrapped the soul-destroying and let him fall into Zhang Yi's different dimensional space. The soul-destroying rushed left and right in the different space, releasing all his power. For a monster that has lost its mind, the hysteresis of the slow passage of time seems to be non-existent. At this time, he only had the desire to kill and only wanted to destroy everything. And his original mission, killing chaos. Zhang Yi trapped the soul-destroying and then began to hunt down the ghost son. Ye Qianshou let out a terrifying cry. Geshenzi took out 200-meter-long swords and slashed out black, evil spirits one after another. The taste of resentment made people sick. Zhang Yi just stretched out the void blade in his hand. A black sphere quickly condensed on the tip of the knife. The speed of condensing the void is much faster than before. How about trying this move? In the past, it took a long time to accumulate power, but now it only takes a moment. The black energy sphere was compressed into a point, and then fanned out to launch an indiscriminate attack on the vast area in front. The power taken by Geshenzi was instantly submerged, and even his body was covered by this move. The warrior armor on his body, which was composed of the resentful spirits of tens of thousands of pregnant women and infant spirits, shattered like paper and then quickly disintegrated. Soon the flesh and bones inside were exposed. Under the impact of the power of the void, it turned into ashes like a dandelion. The crow Qianshou that Geshenzi had taken did not even have time to make a sound before it was directly decomposed into particles in midair. The fake Ypsilon obtained through the vengeful spirit spell did not have the existence of a high-level origin, so it was no pity to destroy it. Zhang Yi looked at the soul of death who had completely lost his mind and was destroying madly in the alien space, and curled his lips. You still have a little bit of use. The remaining Ypsilon-level origin can still be absorbed. Soul of death cannot break Zhang Yi's alien space. Even if his vitality is strong, he will die in a few hours. At that time, Zhang Yi can harvest a complete source of power. At this time, Caliz finally arrived. Zhang Yi said to Qinglong, "You go. The next battle is no longer something you can participate in." Qinglong looked at Zhang Yi meaningfully, but suddenly coughed up blood. "I want to leave too, but I'm afraid I'll die faster." His dragon god form disappeared and turned back into human form. At this time, his face was pale, like a dead person. Forcing himself to maintain that state was extremely exhausting for him, and he could even die on the spot if he wasn't careful. Now that he had experienced the battles with the soul sorrow and the ghost god, he had already overdrawn all his strength. "It seems that I can only wait to die." He smiled miserably. Zhang Yi glanced at him and then said to Huahua, "Huahua, take this guy away." Huahua looked at Zhang Yi and then at Cartier's, who was flying in the air. "Master, can you deal with this guy?" "I can't lose." Zhang Yi just responded so lightly. He knew that this battle had to be fought. After the truth of everything was exposed, not only the Columbia Navy, but even the East China Sea region would be furious. No one could accept being teased like this. But did Zhang Yi care? He didn't care. Only when a person has strength can he be qualified to face all challenges. Now he is strong enough, and his rules are rules. Chaos. I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. Cartier stepped on a puddle of water to float in the air. Looking at Chaos, who he had not seen for many days, Caliz did not show any furious expression. He even had a smile on his face, but the smile was cold and terrifying, like a hyena eyeing dinner. You are really a cunning guy. I didn't expect so many people to be fooled by you. But," he spread his hands, "do you think you can escape now?" In the face of absolute strength, Your clumsy strategy can only make people laugh, but it can't change the outcome of the matter. Suddenly, Caliz's face showed a sinister expression. However, you took away something that should have belonged to me, which makes me very unhappy. Zhang Yi looked at Caliz calmly and said lightly, I want to see how much power the Lord of the Sea still has after leaving the sea. Zhang Yi will not fight an unprepared battle. He is ready for this battle today. Not to mention that there is only one Caliz. Even if Xuanwu is also at the same time, he had predicted that someone would attack him. He didn't expect the East China Sea region to help him after learning the truth. However, seeing that Xuanwu had no intention of attacking, Zhang Yi smiled. The smile on Cartier's face became even more sinister. Ha ha ha. I'm being underestimated, right? Beside him, a huge mass of water elements began to condense. It was a very special water quality. Zhang Yi had seen the power of this substance before, and it easily penetrated his alien space. This is Cartier's ability, Super Original Water. Chapter 1054. Everything follows its tracks. The world in Zhang Yi's eyes gradually became clear. Layer upon layer of influences overlapped and intertwined, and finally, it was like a movie. When he focused his attention on something, he could see through its trajectory within 2 seconds. After being promoted to Epsilon, his ability, Time Echo, also made a qualitative breakthrough. From being able to passively predict the arrival of danger, to now being able to actively predict the future within 2 seconds. This ability is called tracing the tracks of all things. When you can master the laws of movement of all things in the world, you can not only avoid all dangers, but also take the initiative to defeat the enemy. Cartier's attack came again, but while he was still gathering strength, Zhang Yi had already made a move in advance. 100-dimensional gates unfolded around Cartier's, and then burst out with extremely fierce void power, like hundreds of black tentacles extending towards Cartier's. Cartier's eyes condensed, and he quickly unfolded the super original water in his hand, forming a spherical water curtain around him. This thin layer of water curtain didn't look strong, but the moment those black tentacles touched the water curtain, they went out like fireworks falling into water. Cartier's raised his right fist and flew directly towards Zhang Yi like Superman in the cartoon. The super primordial water wrapped his whole body, and he was not even afraid of Zhang Yi's different dimensional space. This supermaterial element will cause great damage to my different dimensional space. If it is sucked into the different dimensional space, there is a great risk of the different dimensional space collapsing. Zhang Yi calmly analyzed the battle situation. Swish! He flashed, and the whole person was thousands of meters away. Cartier's flashed past his previous position. In the area he passed by, all the matter was just contaminated by the superprimordial water and was directly dissolved silently. Zhang Yi took out Baldia's longbow slowly, and while using the ability to predict the future to dodge Cartier's attacks, he slowly accumulated power. When he finished accumulating power, he shot an arrow based on his prediction of Cartier's movement trajectory. Swish! The black void arrow passed through an area of Qingdao, and half of the small city was instantly destroyed. However, Cartier's dodged his attack and looked at the ruins behind him with a look of fear in his eyes. Zhang Yi had some understanding in his heart. Although I can predict the future within 2 seconds, the future can be changed. So if I act too early in advance, it is possible to change his fate of being hit. It's like a person can see the future when leaves fall from the treetops and eventually fall to the ground. But if you reach out to catch the fallen leaves, it is possible to cause wind, causing the leaves to deviate from their original trajectory. The ability of all things to track is the easiest to predict the opponent's moves. If it is used for attacking, you have to get the timing right so that the opponent has no time to dodge to be effective. Cartier's is a real veteran Epsilon strongman among the opponents Zhang Yi has fought. Both his strength and combat experience are impeccable. Fighting with him can allow Zhang Yi to gain a lot of combat experience. Zhang Yi fought with Cartier's while learning. It's not because he is arrogant and dares to learn how to fight at this time. It's just because when he fights with Cartier's, it doesn't make much sense to take the initiative. Even if he steps into Epsilon now, his offensive ability is not enough to threaten Cartier's. It depends purely on his unstoppable defense. According to Zhang Yi's own calculations, his comprehensive ability index is now around 13,000 points. It's difficult to win Cartiers on land, but it's easier to not lose. Again, as long as Zhang Yi doesn't lose, he wins. He has achieved his goal and got everything he wanted in the trip to Qingdao. Then there is no need to fight Cartiers to death. He just wants Cartiers and Xuanwu to understand that from now on, they can no longer threaten his life. That's enough. Cartiers attacked Zhang Yi frantically, but Zhang Yi only defended and did not attack, and responded elegantly and calmly. This made Cartiers extremely angry. Outside of Star Island, the sea roared, and the waves surged up to tens of meters high, but in vain they washed the coastal areas of Star Island, unable to come to the battlefield of Fog Valley and be used by Cartiers. Once the Lord of the Ocean leaves the ocean, his abilities will be greatly reduced. How is it? You don't seem to be able to do anything to me after leaving the ocean, Zhang Yi said to Cartiers lightly. Cartier's eyes were gloomy and terrible. He suddenly clenched his fists and then punched the ground hard. Like a heavy hammer smashing through the wall, the huge force directly shattered the earth. Countless soil and rocks flew, and the earth frozen into permafrost by the extremely cold temperature could not withstand such a blow. The powerful force penetrated thousands of meters of land, and Zhang Yi then saw a scene that surprised him, and his pupils could not help but dilate slightly. Because he saw a heat wave rising into the sky, which was the underground water flow caused by the penetration of the surface. They rose into the sky under the urging of Cartiers. But soon Zhang Yi smiled. Ordinary groundwater emits white mist. But soon after reaching the surface, it quickly condensed into ice. Groundwater is not seawater, and it is not so resistant to condensation. Cartiers pulled out a hundreds-meter-long ice spike from the ground and threw it at Zhang Yi in anger. The light in Zhang Yi's right eye quickly twisted and aimed at the giant ice spike thrown in front of him. God Destroyer. The space in front of him twisted into pieces, and everything in the space was shattered. The huge ice spike turned into crystal-clear ice chips in an instant, as beautiful as falling snow. Cartier's offensive did not stop at all. He roared and used the power of super-original water to attack Zhang Yi continuously. Zhang Yi was not in a hurry, using the ability of tracing all things to predict the trajectory of Cartier's attack and then dodge. This battle lasted for a long time, from the Fog Valley to the entire Star Island. Cities were directly hit by Cartier's powerful power. But from beginning to end, Cartier's had no way to break through Zhang Yi's all things and hurt his body. Damn turtle. If you keep going like this, why should we fight? If you have the guts, come and fight me in a fair duel. Cartier's pointed at Zhang Yi and shouted angrily. He felt frustrated in this battle. In terms of combat power, he was definitely stronger than Zhang Yi. But Zhang Yi just hid and didn't fight him, leaving him with no place to use his skills. How could he not feel frustrated? Zhang Yi was indifferent and said slowly, "Just because I don't fight back doesn't mean I lose." Chapter 1055 Talent Gap. Zhang Yi tried to attack Caliz. His void power became stronger and stronger, but Caliz's ability index was much higher than his. Super original water could easily block his void power. But by the same token, Senlua Wanxiang could absorb almost all of Caliz's attacks. Even if it couldn't be absorbed, it could use the ability of tracking all things to dodge in advance. The noble time and space dual system alien was so invincible. And as the ability was more completely released, the advantages shown became greater and greater. The gap between talents was huge. Caliz, stop. You can't kill me, and if you continue to fight, you won't get any advantage. Don't forget, there is another Epsilon here who can really threaten your life. Zhang Yi's reminder made Caliz look towards the coast unconsciously. In the sea, the people of the East China Sea region were waiting for the result of this battle. If he could quickly get rid of Zhang Yi, it would be fine, and the East China Sea region could use this to vent the anger of being fooled. But at the moment, he couldn't think of a way to kill Zhang Yi in a short time. Continuing to consume will only damage his own essence. He is not a perpetual motion machine that can keep fighting. If Xuanwu takes the opportunity to attack him and joins hands with Zhang Yi to attack him, he might be in danger. Zhang Yi stretched out his right hand and said lightly, "You have done what you should do. Since you can't kill me, there is no need to pretend to be angry. It's not a bad thing for you that I get the source of God. At least because of my existence. Your position in the Columbia Ocean Fleet is more important. But if you still want to continue fighting with me..." Zhang Yi's eyes were full of amusement. "I have already made an agreement with Xuanwu. I will exhaust your energy first, and then he will attack and kill you with me." This sentence made Cartier's eyes more gloomy. He knew that Zhang Yi was deliberately scaring him, but he had to be on guard. Once it really became that situation, he might be seriously injured or even die here. "Quit it while you are ahead," Zhang Yi said lightly. Zhang Yi was also fully prepared for this battle. As long as he is not in the main battlefield of Cartier's, his strength can only be exerted to 60% or 70%, which cannot pose much threat to Zhang Yi now. Cartier's face is uncertain, and no one can see his true thoughts from his face. However, he does not like to be taught to do things. "Chaos, you are really shameless. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you curl up in the tortoise shell of space?" He opened his arms and suddenly said viciously, "I can't kill you, but I can kill the people around you. There must be someone you care about the most, right? They can't hide in this thick tortoise shell like you all the time. Although I can't kill you now, you don't have the ability to stop me from killing anyone." Zhang Yi's heartbeat quickened by half a beat. He first thought of the companions in the shelter in Tianhai City. Having companions is equivalent to having a weak spot. If Cartier's wants to kill them, it will be difficult to hold on for long with the defense of the shelter. But soon, Zhang Yi regained his superficial calm. Very good, very good. I think not only me, but also the East China Sea region will be happy to see you leave the base camp. When the time comes, I will rush straight to the main camp of the Ocean Fleet. You know my ability. Those low-end thermal weapons can't pose any threat to me, but I can easily kill all the generals of your fleet." Zhang Yi's expression suddenly became fierce. "At worst, everyone will give up and die together. I want to see who can afford it more." The smile on Cartier's face slowly solidified. The noble space system plus the time system cannot be guessed by common sense. If it is Xuanwu, the huge body can be deterred by the god of love. But how can Zhang Yi be locked with the god of love? Once his position can be confirmed, I am afraid he will rush into the main camp of the Navy and kill crazily. Cartier's can't accept this fact. He still needs those people to provide him with everything he wants. Once he leaves the Navy, he is just a lonely, strong man, and he doesn't want to live like that. Cartier's suddenly stretched out his right hand and pointed at Zhang Yi. He wanted to say something harsh to threaten him, but he found that he could not do anything to Zhang Yi at this time. And if they really switched homes, he would not be able to threaten Zhang Yi either. He realized one thing: from a certain point of view, Zhang Yi was just like him, and the person he loved the most was only himself. Maybe it would make Zhang Yi sad if everyone in Tianhai City was killed. But it could not completely destroy him, and it would only bring him the craziest revenge. Cartier stared at Zhang Yi, and the expression on his face flickered. Suddenly, he made a decision, and then continued to launch the most fierce attack on Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up, and from Cartier's anger he realized something in the fierce attack and quickly dodged. Then he drew out the holy judgment. The power of the void covered the blade, and then slashed it out. Hundreds of huge void slashes came out from the doors and began to attack the area where Caliz was indiscriminately. On Qingdao, the battle became more and more intense. The command centers of the two armies far away on the sea could see it clearly. General Horn was shocked. The power of chaos can actually resist Caliz? Even if he leaves the sea, Cataliz's strength is very strong. How did he do it? He was most shocked by the fact that Zhang Yi had risen from an alien with an ability index of 9,800 points to the terrifying realm he is in less than a month. His adjutant Karuti pondered for a moment before slowly saying to General Horn, "Perhaps this is the difference in talent." General Horn raised his head suddenly, and Kuruti's words woke him up. Zhang Yi nominally belongs to the Jiangnan region, but he does not belong to anyone or any force. He belongs to the liberal faction, and he has the strength he has today entirely due to his luck and prudence. Even without the support of Jiangnan district, he was able to be promoted to Ypsilon at the speed of light. It can only be said that the talent he possesses is definitely far beyond that of other extraordinary people. A person can reach a certain height through hard work. But in a certain field, if you want to reach a higher level, the higher you go, the more you need to look at talent. For example, Zhang Yi. After he was promoted to Ypsilon, his advantage and ability was completely liberated, allowing him to not lose out even when facing the old strongman Cartiers. General Horn took a deep breath. What a talent the Jiangnan district has wasted. Chapter 1056 Abyssal Creatures. Li Tianyang was on this side. Seeing that Zhang Yi and Cartiers were fighting for a long time, he began to get anxious. At this time, Situ Xian, the person in charge of the Jiangnan region, had been taken to the ward and was under strict guard. The soldiers of the Jiangnan region were also temporarily invited to the isolation room for custody. What Li Tianyang thought in his heart was that Zhang Yi and Cartiers would both be injured, and then Xuanwu would take action to clear the situation. This was his only chance to turn things around. Otherwise, he would have a hard time explaining to Li Guangxiao after returning. At this moment, Xuanwu, who was watching the excitement seriously, suddenly had a bright eye. He turned on the communication channel and saw the communication request sent by Zhang Yi. Xuanwu looked at Li Tianyang thoughtfully and then turned on the communication channel. Zhang Yi's voice came from the communication channel. Xuanwu, I can't hold on any longer. If you don't take action again, I will be killed by Cartiers. But he said that as long as I am willing to surrender, he can forgive the past. If you don't help me, I will go with him. Xuanwu's face suddenly became a little ugly. Zhang Yi is a guy with no bottom line. If the East China Sea region really does not help him, he may surrender to the Columbia Navy at the critical moment of life and death. Xuanwu hurriedly said, Chaos, don't worry. Wait for me. After watching the show for so long, it's time to take action. On the sea, Xuanwu's eyes suddenly burst into blue light. It turned its body and opened its huge mouth towards the location of Cartiers on the Star Island. A huge atomic energy ball quickly condensed in its mouth, and then suddenly burst out with terrifying power, turning into a sword-like atomic breath and heading straight for Cartiers. Cartiers was fighting fiercely with Zhang Yi, and suddenly felt a heart-pounding force coming from behind. Turning his head, he saw that it was Xuanwu who took action. Cartiers gritted his teeth, blocked his left arm in front of him, and a large amount of super-primordial water condensed into a super-large shield in front of him. The atomic breath had already broken through the air and collided with Cartiers's super-primordial water shield. Zhang Yi seized the opportunity, and the 10,000 things in the universe completely unfolded, turning into thousands of doors, aiming at Cartiers. Countless void forces stretched out from the doors like tentacles, covering the sky and the sun, and piercing Cartier's body. A moment later, an astonishing energy fluctuation erupted above the Star Island, causing the electromagnetic signals of both armies to be greatly affected. The sky-high heat wave turned into a huge mushroom cloud, and then swept away the poisonous miasma and even ice and snow within a radius of hundreds of miles, and large areas of the city were razed to the ground. The 3 Ypsilon-level strongmen attacked together, which was the first time since the end of the world. The destructive power caused was so great that it even approached the god of death of love. Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded and speechless. After a long time, Li Tianyang reacted immediately. He angrily questioned Xuanwu. Xuanwu, why did you suddenly attack? Why didn't you wait until Cartiers killed Chaos first? Wouldn't it be better to attack then? Xuanwu looked at Li Tianyang carelessly. Do you think Chaos is an idiot? If I don't make a move, he will definitely choose to surrender to the Columbia Navy when he knows he can't defeat Cartiers. At that time, do you want to add another powerful opponent to the East China Sea region? Xuanwu didn't care about Li Tianyang's attitude. In the East China Sea region, His status is transcendent, and he only takes orders from the highest officer, Li Guangxiao. Li Tianyang can't order Xuanwu, which is why Zhang Yi directly bypassed Li Tianyang to talk to him. On the Star Island, Zhang Yi and Cartier's looked at each other from a distance. The attack just now seemed earth-shattering, but in fact, neither of them suffered any damage. Among the strong men in the Ypsilon realm, it is difficult for them to die unless they fight desperately. Everyone has finally reached the extraordinary level of life. As long as they are alive, they can enjoy all the best materials in this world. Who would really risk their lives? Cartier's took a deep look at Zhang Yi and then at Xuanwu on the ocean. He silently said to General Horn, "Xuanwu has already made a move. If I continue to fight, I won't get any advantage. Han Dun's strength is very strong. I can't kill him in a short time. Even if I try my best to kill him, I will be in danger. At that time, you can't stop the furious Xuanwu." General Horn's expression was uglier than eating an Oreo. He didn't expect that Cartier's couldn't even take down Han Dun. And now Han Dun has just been promoted to Ypsilon. Letting him go means that there will be another dangerous enemy in the future. But now, except to stop and swallow this dumb loss, they have no better choice. Horn gritted his teeth and said word by word, "Okay, the action is temporarily cancelled. You come back." Cartier's turned off the communication. He looked at Zhang Yi with an ambiguous look in his eyes. This time, they reached a consensus that no one wanted to really risk their lives. But from now on, Cartier's has another opponent in the East China Sea. He is not comfortable enough as the Emperor of the Sea. "Let's stop here today. I hope we won't meet on the battlefield again," Caliz said to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded. "I think so too." He breathed a sigh of relief. After this battle, his strength was recognized by Caliz and Xuanwu. From now on, his position has been consolidated, and the whole world will know that Huaxiu has gained another Ypsilon. When the strength is strong enough, the trouble will be relatively reduced. Just as the two were about to leave, a dangerous throbbing suddenly emerged in Zhang Yi's heart. In the fog valley that had been completely destroyed, a trembling breath suddenly appeared in the original Tiankeng. Both Zhang Yi and Caliz felt their hands and feet cold because of the sudden breath. Something terrifying beyond their cognition appeared. In the distant other side, Xuanwu also felt it, his eyes fixed on the direction of the abyss. Chaos! What happened there? Zhang Yi's eyes looked at the huge abyss, where the source of the gods appeared, a huge natural pit. Zhang Yi once wondered how this pit was formed, and whether there were any terrifying creatures hidden in it. Humans are curious, awed, and fearful of everything unknown. Unexpectedly, now that terrifying feeling really appeared. Zhang Yi and Cartier stared into the huge abyss, and they really saw an existence that made them incredible. It was a humanoid creature. A huge humanoid creature over 5 meters tall, with human-like limbs and a long tail on its back. Chapter 1057: Overwhelming Strength. Above the huge abyss, a humanoid creature over 5 meters tall was quietly suspended there. His body was wrapped in black armor, and it was impossible to see what his face looked like. He was just suspended in the air, with his arms folded across his chest, and his eyes swept over everything around him. Zhang Yi, Cartier's, including Xuanwu and the fleets of the two regions, were all in his sight. He clearly did nothing, but there was a trembling feeling emanating from him. Zhang Yi swallowed his saliva, and then said to Xuanwu, "A monster with extremely terrible strength suddenly appeared on the island. Don't you know about this in the East China Sea region?" Xuanwu frowned. "Do you think it is possible that we did it?" Xuanwu's meaning was very clear. If the person who suddenly appeared was from the East China Sea region, they could directly sweep the battlefield with the advantage of 2 Ypsilon strongmen. Why would it be necessary to go to great lengths to fight? Similarly, that weirdo would not be from the Joint Forces camp. That's troublesome. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said so. After observing in the air for a moment, the black-armored weirdo suddenly cast his eyes on Zhang Yi with interest. Then he tilted his head. The palm of his right hand opened, revealing not a human palm, but a claw similar to a dragon, with black scales on the back of his hand and sharp claws. A black energy instantly condensed in his palm and released towards Zhang Yi the next moment. The surging energy wave swept everything along the way, and the power contained in it made Zhang Yi's eyebrows stand up. Because the power of the black armored monster was even stronger than that of Cartier's. Much stronger. All things in the world. Thousands of dimensional gates came together to form a huge sky gate, blocking Zhang Yi in front of him. The black energy cannon penetrated the space and reached Zhang Yi in an instant, and then slammed into his different dimensional space. An extremely strong sense of separation suddenly emerged in Zhang Yi's heart. Zhang Yi was shocked, and the enemy in front of him was obviously not something he could deal with. Everything follows the track. The light in his left eye began to distort, locking his ability on the black-armored monster to predict the trajectory of his actions. Seeing Zhang Yi blocking his attack, the black-armored monster seemed a little surprised. The next moment, he became blurred in Zhang Yi's eyes. Zhang Yi's eyes widened. Even if he could see through the future, his speed was too fast. If he hadn't used his foresight, Zhang Yi would have no idea what this person was going to do. "I'll dodge." Zhang Yi did not hesitate and directly opened the dimensional door behind him and hid in the other dimensional space. The black-armored monster arrived at the direction where Zhang Yi disappeared in an instant. Seeing that Zhang Yi disappeared, he paused slightly and turned his eyes to Caliz in the other direction. Caliz. Pupils shrank, and then he realized that Zhang Yi did that to attract the attention of the black-armored monster. F***K. The figure of the black-armored monster flashed in the air like a ghost, and in an instant, he came in front of Caliz. Caliz suddenly burst out with powerful strength. Superman's body. His muscles swelled up. As a super soldier, he naturally had the body of a Superman. Facing this strange and powerful man who suddenly appeared, he chose to confront him head-on. The black-armored weirdo came in front of Caliz and quickly punched him in the head. Caliz roared and punched him as well. The two started the simplest and roughest duel in midair, and punches echoed over the entire island like thunder. Caliz was beaten back step by step, and was soon punched thousands of meters away. Who is that guy? When did this level of alien appear in the East China Sea? Xuanwu was stunned. He could only take a defensive stance when fighting with Caliz, but the black-armored weirdo in front of him actually beat Caliz in close combat. The black-armored weirdo did not pursue the victory, and he suddenly stopped in midair. From his movements, there was not much killing aura. Instead, he was curiously observing the surroundings, as if he had never seen anything around him. Xuanwu held his breath and concentrated, not wanting to alarm this mysterious strong man. However, the black-armored monster didn't seem to think so. Such a big turtle floating on the sea, and it was also Ypsilon level, was as conspicuous as a lighthouse in the dark night. He opened his right hand, and an energy cannon quickly condensed out, and then blasted towards Xuanwu in the distance. The power of this cannon was too amazing. If it was hit, the consequences would be disastrous. Xuanwu's face suddenly changed, his spirit came to the head of his main body, and then raised his hands. At the same time, his main body also opened his huge mouth, and also condensed an atomic breath and sprayed it over. Two terrifying forces collided in midair. With just a touch, Xuanwu's power was instantly suppressed. Xuanwu's face was extremely ugly, and he chose to head without hesitation, shrinking into his head. His tortoise shell is the strongest defensive object, and even has a defensive ability that is no less than that of adamantium. The black-armored monster hit his tortoise shell with a blow, causing Xuanwu's huge body to be flipped out of the sea and rolled several times in the ocean before stopping. Everyone in Xuanwu's body was thrown to the ground, looking very embarrassed. What happened? What kind of monster is that? How can it have such a powerful force? His strength is at least more than 20,000 points, or even higher. Even 3 Ypsilon level can't deal with him. Zhang Yi appeared from the alien space at this time. He did not hesitate at all, and made the most decisive choice directly: escape. Hua hua. Zhang Yi shouted, and Hua, who was still hiding on the Star Island, carried Qinglong on his back and flapped his wings to quickly fly near Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi unfolded the Sanluo Wanxiang and was about to take Hua away. The black-armored monster tilted his head, and faced with Zhang Yi's space ability, he seemed to feel a little tricky. Zhang Yi stared at him intently and activated the ability of tracing all things on him. The next moment, he saw an incredible scene. Hundreds of dark chains extended from the armor of the black-armored monster and then penetrated the void, blocking all the directions he left. This scene made Zhang Yi dumbfounded. Since his debut, he has been fighting against enemies stronger than him by relying on the tricks of the space system, but he has always been able to turn danger into safety. However, this time he encountered a tough opponent, and the opponent seemed to have a way to deal with his ability. Dear viewers, stay tuned. More episodes coming soon. Thanks, please subscribe if not already.